Hey guys, it's ACairconditioner and welcome back for more Genshin Impact 2.1 event, Moonlight Merriment.
Oh, we really do! Beidou and Xinyan are two of my oldest customers, and I've helped out in the kitchen on board Beidou's ship in the past.
Oh wow,
Recently,
really?
Xinyan's been planning to do a show on board, too.
That's the plan. Good music's meant for sharing. You guys should check it out sometime.
You excel in the culinary arts. I'm reminded of another chef I know.
Welcome, everyone, to the Masterful Chef's Final. At the appointment of this organizing committee, I am your host and officiator, Yanfei.
The organizers have chosen the theme for today's event, and that theme is of Earth and Waterborn.
Anyway, what are we standing around here for? Let's go and check on the status of the Stove God statue.
Let's go check on the statue of the Stove God.
How strange. It hasn't changed one bit.
There's a few more cracks,
This
maybe.
doesn't make any sense. We cooked our hearts out. Does this mean the competition wasn't enough to awaken the statue? Oh well. I suppose it was simply not meant to be.
Silly, you're ruining the moment. There's still time. Don't lose hope.
Yeah, we've waited this long already. There's no harm in waiting a little longer. Right, Xiangling? Yep, there's still time. Let's be patient. We'll all see this through together. On another note, I have some good news for you, Keqing. Things are looking optimistic for that recipe you gave me. Master came by before the competition and filled in the parts that were missing. So now I'll be able to cook it. In fact, I'll go find somewhere to make it right now.
Oh!
Right here. Xiangling. Oh, and Traveler, could you come with me? Huh? You only just beat Smiley and Xiao. You think you're up for challenging us already?
I don't think she's challenging us, but you know what? Let's just play along. Alright, time for me to get real. No, I am not saying that line. No. Game, you're not. Just because I compliment you in events, you can sneak in one kind of smug line past me. No. I'm not saying this.
Obviously not what I meant. You collect recipes, don't you?
God.
I thought you'd probably be needing this dish during your travels, so I figured I'd share it with you. Oh, right! Paimon knew that. Sheesh, we
What
totally
is
misread
up with
that
Ether?
situation.
You think, Paimon? Who am I kidding? Xiangling's the real kitchen queen.
Jeez, careful eating your words so fast. You'll give yourself heartburn. What are you staring at me for? Go on, go get on with your cooking.
Keqing was laughing at us, wasn't she? Oh, what on earth? Interesting. Okay, well, can we use stealth? Okay, thank God we can. Sorry who thought we had to sacrifice health, but chili means cornbread, but that's it's a 4-star dish too. Oh, thanks game. I had to waste a minute. This is new. Oh, hold on. A traditional snack from Malay, the fresh rough dough was turned out to be round rested, then placed inside a cabbage cage to steam. Then the meat and vegetables was then washed. Okay. It's a defense boosting. It's a shield strength. Something that's. Hold on. I don't know. I'm not trying to overanalyze everything, but why shield strength? For an exclusive dish like this one. That's interesting. There might be something more to it than there might be something a bit more to it. I'm just gonna process some good amount of flour because I've been eating flour anyway, so obtain. And I'm just gonna process more of this. I'm just gonna process like 21 because it's a funny number. Let's hope it doesn't come to that though. Defense boosting dish. I'm gonna try no. I'm not Xinyan. I'm gonna try some. I'm gonna let Xinyan try this one. Come on, go. Alright. First try.
It's done! So this is what the dish from the recipe looks like. Let's go give it to Keqing. Mine's ready too. Let's go together.
Okay, Xiangling, Jesus. I just realized something. The pause on this recipe is very reminiscent of Goba. Is that supposed to hint towards the fact that if you offer this dish to the statue, that statue is gonna open up and Goba's gonna appear? Because I know who the Sylph God is, but let's just go. I don't know if I spoiled it for you guys or not, but
The traveler and I made one each. Here, have it taste while it's still warm. Thank you. Don't mind if I do.
well,
What is it? What does that face mean? This flavor. I've tasted it before.
Keqing?
Apologies. Xiangling, Traveler, thank you both. This is everything I had hoped it would be. It tastes wonderful and quite amazingly. Somehow it took me right back to my childhood, when my grandfather was still around. Really? That's awesome! I didn't have a chance to fully explain before. In fact, when Master had filled in the missing parts of the recipe for me, I realized that I already knew how to make this dish. You already knew? You mean you were able to make this without ever seeing the recipe? Uh-huh. My dad taught me how to make it.
What?
Wait, but isn't this dish from Keqing's grandpa's notes, though? About that. I do not believe that this recipe was my grandfather's creation. My grandfather was a well-known real estate tycoon in Liyue, and also a scholar. He was an avid collector of old books and was quite knowledgeable on many of Liyue's customs and traditions that are no longer practiced. As a child, I used to spend a lot of time with him in his study. We'd read the classics together, then debate how much of it was actually genuine, and whether Rex Lapis was real or not. He used to say, books are just a bridge that bring us a little closer to history. It's up to those of us in later generations to ask these questions, search for the answers, and decide what they mean. Since then, my grandfather has passed on, and I've grown up to become a Keqing. My views on Rex Lapis have changed in this time too, from myth to reality. For me, the name Rex Lapis is inextricably wound up with memories of my grandfather.
That's why now.
Whenever I see his name written down, it always reminds me of sitting in my grandfather's study.
That's why she
seeing all
kind
his
of
notes. As I said earlier, this recipe came from those same notes. It's an ancient dish that he was trying to restore to its original form. But unfortunately, without the full recipe, he never quite succeeded.
Xiangling, that's
Still,
thus.
each time he tried cooking it, he'd always get me to have a taste while it was still warm. The memories. This really is the taste of my childhood. Ancient dish? Are cornbread buns really that old? Well, at least in my family it is. My dad learned how to make it from his dad, and supposedly it's been passed down that way for generations. We call them chili minced cornbread buns. They're a traditional folk food snack, easy to pack up and take with you on the road. So they're the perfect thing to eat on the go.
Goba?
Seeing Guoba just reminded me of something. I actually made this dish on the day I first met Guoba. How did you first meet?
Oh yeah, we
It
never
was in a
knew
cave
that.
in the mountains. I ducked inside to get out of the rain and saw an offering table in there, so I put the cornbread buns I brought with me on it. Then I ended up falling asleep, and when I woke up, I found out that Guoba had eaten every last one. Guoba followed me around ever since. We're practically family now. Hold up! Stop the conversation! Look!
I freaking called it.
It burst open! It's...
Goba. I freaking called it. I specifically said, are you gonna offer this cornbread? Are you gonna offer that cornbread bun to the statue, and then Globo's gonna appear or something? I freaking called it.
Guoba? What are you...
Globo's the stove god.
What?
I mean, I knew Global was the
I
stove
see
god.
the chili mince cornbread buns have been served.
And Melody knew about this too. You kept the secret the entire time.
Granny, look! The stove god statue looks
Oh,
just
she
like
knew.
Groba.
Oh, indeed it does. After all, Guoba is the deity you've been searching for. God of the stove.
Groba is a god?
Yep.
You asked me if a sufficiently festive atmosphere would be enough to reawaken the stove god. And my answer is this.
Man and Ping.
Yes. And no. The stove god has always been a deity with great affection for the people, and who acts in response to their desires. To him, the heart's passions and the heart's desires are not the same thing. Passion can be a technique, a skill, something derived from experience. But desires, they are deeper, more innate. They are the heart's strength in its purest form. Masterful chefs is wonderfully exciting, but it is more an exercise of passion than of desire. And passion alone will not suffice to reawaken the stove god from his deep slumber. But just now, when Keqing ate this dish she had longed for, a deeply held desire was fulfilled. As well as receiving an answer to her question, she also gained something much more precious.
Because her grandfather was studying the stove god's identity and catching past that and
It
catching.
felt like she was right there alongside her grandfather. The enormous power unleashed by the fulfillment of this desire resonated with the stove god's statue and caused it to manifest once more the form it took in the past. Of course, the stove god himself is not contained within the statue. The true stove god has been here with us all along. How does it feel? Seeing a statue of yourself from your glory days?
Stove god never died then. It's not even the, it's not even the stove god reincarnation. No, stove god never
Glory
died.
days? Wait, what happened? Did Groba used to be different from now?
Oh, yes. Back in his day, your Guoba was once the patron god of the soil. But all the wisdom and power he had then, he has since surrendered to the soil itself.
A god surrendering their power to the soil. I have heard this turn of phrase before, but what does it mean?
The kinds of trials and tribulations that a land can face are far more than you could imagine. Droughts, floods, torrential rain, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, fires, and plagues.
Natural disasters.
The threat of disaster will never fully disappear from Liyue.
Oh my god, that's true.
Even woes that have never been faced before in history will come to pass in the future. Such things affect you mortals far more than the Adepti, with our immortal forms. He once walked with you over the barren plains until you arrived at last at the harbor. He joined you in building your dwellings and lighting the stoves. It was his hand that lit the very first street lamp of Liyue and brought the aroma of cooked food into every household in the land. You mortals no longer remember him, but back in the age when you did, he was the closest of all the Adepti to the common folk.
Cutscene.
Marchosius, god of the stove, born from a spark when stone struck stone. He was a god with a great love for humanity and their well-being. Millennia ago, the people sought to expand their city. They built a dwelling on the plains and called it the Guili Assembly. The stove god cared greatly for the people, turning himself into minions who went into every home, fostering food and solidarity alike. Alas, their home was taken by a flood. The waters ravaged the Guili Assembly and forced the people back south to Liyue Harbor. Though the distance was not far, the journey was plagued by a terrible storm. For a dozen days, the Adepti stayed by their side, During this time, the stove god cooked an ancient delicacy, flatbread with a meat sauce to stave off the cold and damp, fit for those on the move. Centuries later, disaster and plague arose once more. The stove god would appear no longer, for he placed all of his power into the land itself to quell the calamities. His power expended, and his wits greatly reduced. Thus his body decreased in size. By the time he parted ways with us, he wasn't even the height of a human. He told Rex Lapis and I of the dishes that bring joy and of the secrets of the flame, then went into the mountains and entered into a long slumber. The stove god departed, and Guoba was born. When he awoke, he ate the chiliman's cornbread buns placed on the offering table by a young lady in yellow. Though he did not remember the past, he was profoundly moved and decided to follow this young lady thereafter. The stove god had quietly disappeared, but the vendors rose early to hawk their wares. People went out to buy goods, lit their stoves, and cooked food, just as they had done every day for as long as they could remember. In Liyue, things have always been this way. Nature provides, the mountains rejoice. We are blessed by heaven's good grace.
Years have gone by. The world has transformed, but our way of life survives.
Fame and fortune is only a season. It is the moment that we should embrace.
Past meets present. Heritage becomes legacy. Long into the future may we thrive.
You once told me that dining is the profoundest of customs in the human world. To eat well is to consume vitality itself, and to drink well is to partake of the very essence of the world. It is a matter of paramount importance, you said, for people cannot face the arduous journey ahead on an empty stomach. At once a humble affair and a profound one. A humble meal of maize and spring water is also profound in that. By ensuring one's survival, it paves the way for millennia of human history and culture to come. My dear friend, Liyue has changed so much while you have slept. Looking at the prosperity and beauty around us today, does it make you happy?
I'm shocked. I'll probably talk a lot about this at the end of the quest, but Jesus.
Boba, this is kind of a huge deal. Why didn't you say anything? He is not who he once was. Even the power of speech evades him now. There is no way he could have told you.
Oh.
Boba, but...
Xiangling.
Do not be saddened, Xiangling. There are two sides to everything. Guoba may have lost many of his formal faculties, but he is now as carefree as can be, without a single worry in the whole world. In this world we inhabit, who can truly be said to live a life free of all woes? Those with a mind and with the knowledge will certainly be troubled by all manner of things. But he has gone further than us in his journey. He had both wisdom and courage. Everything he took upon himself, he was also ready to part with. His carefree demeanor today is a testament to the fact that he is at rest. So since you are his friend, take good care of him. Go out to walk and play. Allow him to eat, drink, and be merry.
I will! You can count on me!
Xiangling, you have an adeptal affinity. Guoba follows you around because he has respect for you. The moment he awoke, he was met with a familiar flavor in the chili mince cornbread buns he ate. After all that time, he still recognized the dish he had invented, and he approved of you as the one who had cooked it.
That's right. The taste of one's home cuisine always brings back memories of home. Though he remembered nothing, eating the food you had cooked gave him a feeling of familiarity. That is why he stuck by you.
You may be the first person in history to give the stove god the experience of being a satisfied customer. That makes you quite a remarkable chef.
That does just make her remarkable. That makes her almost godlike. In a very literal sense too. Sure, Global is not who he used to be, but that means Xiangling's cooking is on the tier level of the gods? I mean, that's crazy impressive, I know. We learned so much about Xiangling's backstory through this. And Keqing's too. I am shocked by how much lore there is in this event. And I mean, like, it's sure, maybe it's just like a small corner compared to the giant lore that is the entirety of the world Tifat. Wow. Color me surprised. I'm caught off guard.
If that's true, I couldn't be happier. Because putting a smile on customers' faces is what we chefs are called to do.
Well then, it's getting late and I still have things to do. Time for me to say goodbye. Traveler, Paimon, Xiangling, thank you all very much. I look forward to spending more time together in the future.
Keqing store quest possibly? Maybe? Sounds good. We'll be waiting.
I guess my dad's probably heard the good news already, but I should still go catch up with him. Master, it's been a while since you came by. Why don't you join me? He thinks about you all the time, you know. He's always telling me to invite you over.
Oh, goodness me. Then, far be it from me to refuse. Off we go then. Let's saunter over gently and see how all the city folk are getting along.
Go to one-man restaurant. I have a confession. Before this event even started, I was spoiled on the Stove God's identity. And I was also spoiled of this cutscene. Now, hear me on this one. Just because I was spoiled on this cutscene doesn't mean I knew everything about it. I only watched this cutscene once because this cutscene was leaked days ahead of its time. And the only thing I got was the fact that the Stove God was Guoba. So I knew that Guoba was the Stove God. What I didn't know was that he was also the God of the soil because I never even heard that title before. So that caught me off guard. Not just that, but I felt like when Guoba being the Stove God, I didn't know what to take from that. I was like, oh, is he some sort of like Stove God reincarnated form? No, he was the original Stove God in a very weakened state, to where he can't even speak anymore. So even though I was spoiled in this cutscene once, I only watched it once like a week ago, weeks ago. I didn't really pay too much attention to it because I wanted the fresh experience of this. And good lord, this story,
What should I try this time?
this event is absolutely insane. Let's just move on for now, because we still have much to talk about.
Dad, I'm back! Hey, what are you doing there? I should be the one handling that.
Oh my god.
Oh no! Guoba's taken off!
I know who's gonna go meet. Look who it is. Is it Xiangling? It's Zhongli! Yes!
Oh, it's you. Hello there, old friend.
And he mentions him as old friend! Dude!
Oh, bless my soul. Are you out for a stroll as well?
Given the season, it felt fitting to take a leisurely walk while the meal is being prepared.
You.
Quite right. And it also gave us the chance to run into you. Guoba may not recognize you, but as ever,
He doesn't?
he seems quite delighted to see you.
So, Guoba doesn't remember anything? But can
So we
still
can
feel
recognize
when
it. So we can
something's familiar?
kind of recognize that depth is.
Friendship will always withstand the ravages of time.
Hell yeah.
Traveler, what do you think of the name of this festival? Moon Chase.
You know what I'm really glad that about? Zhongli this time around is stepping up and talking to us about this festival, but he's not hoarding the attention of this festival to shut off all character developments. He comes up at the perfect moment to give us the deeper meaning behind Moon Chase. I'm glad they decided to take that route. I'm honestly really glad, because I think Zhongli got enough character development as a character for now.
The moon is a carrier of countless emotions. So many things only seem to surface as we gaze up beneath its poignant glow. Wherever the moonlight shines, the heart is wont to follow. Fond memories of those no longer with us. Debts of gratitude to old friends. The meaning of ages past and gone. All wrapped up in the city that has existed for so many moons to date. All these things and more. They are why people chase the moon.
In old age, the sight of many things puts one in a wistful mood. But children are always a beautiful sight to see. Such exuberant life force. It seems to well up from deep within the land itself. A land that has been in existence for so many millennia, and yet one that still dazzles today.
Perhaps that is what defines Liyue.
Traveler, this Moon Chase Festival has been all the more entertaining with you here to witness
I'm
it.
still in the electro form.
Now,
Dang it!
Let's have Xiangling brew us a nice
Ah.
cup of tea. We shall drink
If I was in
and
Geo
chat
form,
at
this
our
would have been
leisure.
perfect. I'm so sad. Tell her. So I found my headphones. Tell her. She needs to know. I'm gonna go talk to Xiangling real quick. Guys, you need to tell her. Tell her the Geo Archon's identity. She deserves to know.
Everyone's here to eat. What should I cook? Let me think. I've got some fowl and some fish and shrimp meat, so I can do 2 snack dishes. Everyone's gonna love it.
My daughter, your culinary skills are getting
That's
better.
Zhongli.
The food at Wan Min restaurant is excellent. I eat here often.
Ah, you can say that again. Xiangling is a remarkable child. Surely the culinary talent of the century.
Indeed. To have mastered the craft at her age lends credence to the old aphorism that heroes are made young.
Well, jeez, that's okay. So, Moonlight Merriment as a story. What can I say other than near perfection? I think MiHoYo MiHoYo did Liyue a favor by doing this event. Now, let me preface this by saying this. Let me preface this by just saying, Lantern Rite isn't a bad event. It's not. It's a solid event. We learn about Liyue's customs and all. But then they bring in Windbloom, and it just washes Lantern Light based on the content we get. The mini games, Peculiar Wonderland, Battles of Breeze, and the story behind the idea of a Windbloom festival. It's insane. And we never had that, other than the idea of, oh, we just released lanterns for like fulfill wishes, which I think is a common thing, not just in like Leeway, but also when it comes to Asian culture, mainly China, because I believe it is China. I think it is like Asian culture or Chinese culture specifically, where you do release lanterns to wish in a way, and hope that your wishes come true. Now, another thing is the fact that, but there's no another thing. But Moon Chase Festival, god damn. I believe Moon Chase is symbolic towards the Autumn Festival. I believe that's what's called. Don't quote me on that. I can maybe confirm that later on in editing. But yeah, it is supposed to be a reference towards the Autumn Festival, just like Windbloom is a reference towards the spring. Lantern Light is a reference towards the Chinese Lunar New Year, and so on and so forth. See, MiHoYo does events and releases them in the in the time where it would fit the season the best. Because look at a lot of these updates. Like look at let's say Dragon Spine, for example, 1.2. That was released in December, winter, Christmas. Dragon Spine is in winter, is a snowy mountain. Look at Midnight Lantern Raid. That's 1.3. Chinese Lunar New Year was the main focus of that. Windbloom, Spring Festival, flowers and blooming, but discovering which plant is the Windbloom. Makes sense there. Again, 1.6. Golden Apple Archipelago. Summer, islands, vacation outfits. 1.6. And now 2.1 during autumn, we have what's based off the autumn festival, which is Moon Chase. Now I think this was the I think this is one of the best like moments, or one of the best events I've seen by far. Like MiHoYo has been like on point with events starting from like 2.0 and when it comes to story. The content in Moon Chase was unfortunately like lacking. It's not the diverse content I'm looking for when it comes to the events, like what we saw in Peculiar Wonderland, where it's basically Mario Party, and you get to play with friends, and it's not even that grindy. It's really fun to play. I have a whole entire series on that, like I recorded a long time ago. Go if you want to check it out. But where it lacks in content, it goes above and beyond with lore, and I never thought that. And the thing is, when we first see Moon Chase, the idea of an Adeptus caught me off guard, because I don't think we've heard of Stove God the first time. And the thing is, I didn't really care about Moon Chase to begin with. I care more about Act 3 and the conclusion of Inazuma, because that was the main focus of 2.1. What if that was the main focus? I was wrong. And I think this event truly just captures the essence that is not just world building, lore, but also character development. I think Keqing and Xiangling was given justice this time around. Keqing was a character that absolutely grew on me, and I do want to actually have her on my game in my roster as characters to play as, because I know I mentioned this in 1.5. Didn't know it didn't record. Oh, they left. Good thing I talked to them. But one thing that I need to focus. One thing that I said was like out of the 5 stars, Keqing out of the 5 stars. That is not limited. Keqing and Ningguang, no, not Keqing and Ningguang. Keqing and Jean might be the ones that I like. Not until I got Jean multiple times and I haven't gotten Keqing yet, but. And Keqing was the character that's really grew on me, because when I played as her in 1.5 as a trial character, she was fun to play. I mean, she was ridiculously fast, does good damage, does his damage, and it works very well with other characters like Mona, or Ganyu, or any characters like that. I think Ganyu wasn't even an option. I think it's Diona, and Diona was a really good pair for Keqing. But now I think this just confirms Keqing as one of the best, as another really solid character in Leeway. I can't say the best, because I have to say loyal to Ganyu. Ganyu is still the best in my opinion. Like, and nothing's gonna change that for Leeway. But Keqing is definitely up there now as another solid character. And we only saw Keqing's moments in like Act 3 during the battle, I guess. But now we learn a lot more about Keqing's backstory and why the term Rex Lapis hurts her. Because it reminds her of family, and even if like you try to get over it with a family's passing, it's still gonna hurt. Like mourning is a long process, and Keqing, while she moved on, still can't help but feel nostalgia. And everyone has that feeling of nostalgia, you know. Like when it comes to like, just favorite games, like or moments that you've lost, or moments that you like enjoyed, pictures that you've taken, is nostalgia. There's a reason why there's a reason why this thing called carried by nostalgia, because you have no choice but to be carried by nostalgia sometimes. And Keqing captures that essence, and she grows from it. And the way how they link Keqing's destiny, or Keqing's ambition, or Keqing's wishes and desires, with Xiangling's passion, was very interesting to me. Those two are a perfect pair, I think. Since, and like those, like they're like opposites. They're complete opposites, and yet they complement each other beautifully. Xiangling's eccentric and outgoing personality, being friendly with everyone, openly friendly with everybody. We were fast friends with her easily, right? Keqing has a much more closed-off personality as the Yuheng, and the fact that, and the thing is, and sometimes she can be a bit awkward, which is kind of comical to me. But you understand though. You understand why. It's because of her responsibility and position, of her position. And seeing those two like be together, talk to each other, and seeing the comparison, I think is perfect in my opinion. And let's talk about the lore of the stove god. The stove god, again, I knew it was Goba. I think that I made that obvious by now. But I was caught off guard by what the stove god actually was and how and what happened to the stove god. Cause like I knew he was Goba, but I originally thought he was a reincarnated form. Goba was just a reincarnated form of the stove god, who lost all his memories. Not so. The stove god lost his power, or he gave up his power to the soil, and turned it to a weakened state and changed the state to Goba. And was sleeping until Xiangling Xiangling came to his cave because it was raining. And she cooked those cornbread. What was the dish called? My God, I'm having a I'm gonna lose my mind if I can't say this correctly. It's the cornbread dish. I know, I saw it. I just went to memory loss. Cornbread buns. And cornbread buns was a very old dish that Guoba created. The stove god created, more like, to give to the people that are struggling. Natural disasters is a problem even to this day. I mean, look at the coronavirus. And Guoba, or the stove god per se, I'm just gonna call him Guoba, chooses to share the food that he created, share the knowledge of cooking, so these people can survive through the harsh days. Plus, good food makes everybody smile, no matter what. And and he gives up most of his power because the reason why he's also the stove god is because symbolically he cares about the people, he cooks for them, he cares about them. So he's willing to sacrifice himself, becoming a much weaker state, losing most of his memories, only having a sense of familiarity that sense of nostalgia for his old friends, the Adeptus, and even lose the capability to speak. He can't even speak. And he's in one of deep slumber, so Xiangling woke him up with the cornbread buns because that is the sense of nostalgia he gets, and he thinks that Xiangling is a great chef just by that one dish. And then look at her now. Like in a way, Guoba was the one that truly started Xiangling's destiny. And by learning this, I think there's a lot more things you can learn about Xiangling as a character now. But that's going way too far. So, my personal thoughts on this event: story-wise, godlike. Content-wise, pretty good. Because Scavetrons is kind of meh to me. It does give a lot of primo gems, and that's really a strong point to give right there. But other than that, the story I think hard carries this, and there's so much things to analyze in that cutscene. Because that cutscene showed us the Adeptus. It showed us Mountain Shaper, Moon Carver, Cloud Returner, also the Qilin. Now the Qilin is an Adeptus, and is also known to be Ganyu's mother, because Ganyu is half Adepti. But we never saw who Yanfei's Adepti parent was, which is interesting, because Yanfei is also half Adeptus. But God, like I don't know. It was crazy. Also, we saw a bunch of like characters. There we saw Xingqiu, Chongyun, Qiqi, Hu Tao, Xingqiu, Ningguang, Keqing, the Traveler, Paimon, Xiangling, Baizhu. We saw like everyone in that cutscene. Xinyan too. And I've never seen a event story that just brings in everybody together at that one moment. That's and the way it's executed is perfection. So yeah, Moon Chase, Bainan, one of the best events I've played by far. I would dare say it is the best event I've played so far, based on story. So that's my extremely long rant on my take on this event. But that was mine. How do you feel about Moon Chase? Leave your opinions in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to see more. Now, before we end this off, I promised something. Actually, I don't know why I said leave a like and subscribe, but I promised something to tell you guys, and this is where I get a bit of a serious talk here. How am I handling Moon Chase side events? I'm going to be uploading the video first to conclude the story. Now, maybe, not yes, guaranteed, maybe, I'm going to put the Path of Stalwart Stone together in one video, Path of Gentle Breezes in another video, and Path of Austere Frost in one video. Or I'm planning on putting all three of them in one short video where I basically just make an overview of like, oh, what do you have to do. I'm gonna skip the actual part of me doing it, and I'm just gonna show you the rewards that you get, because the lack of dynamic content in this is kind of lacking. If I do choose to put them on one and all three paths in one video, then yes, you're just gonna see me start it, but you're not gonna see me do it, but you can see the rewards. And they'll be at all different times, because I thought this after I recorded the first part of Moon Chase Festival. Because I do things on, because I plan things on the go. So that's basically how I'm planning on doing it for now. And it's gonna be a while before I fully determine what I'm going to do. Expect to get your answer when I upload my next video after this story. Once Path of Austere Frost comes out. Right now it's October 1st. So if you want answers, you're gonna have to wait until I upload this on October, or until I upload a video on October 4th. That is my game plan. October 4th will be when I continue Moon Chase, and that'll be the last thing for, that'll be the last content for Genshin 2.1. Also, not just that. October 3rd will be the Genshin 2.2 live stream. I will be recording it with my friends again as a reaction, as you guys know, telling you guys in advance, you know, being nice and all. But we're gonna be getting to more serious topics after that live stream. I'm not live streaming it. I'm recording my reaction of the live stream and uploading it as a video. But I'm also gonna be talking about some more serious stuff after my reaction, because it's a thing that I do need to talk about. I feel like I need to talk about, despite knowing that I'm a small channel. Because I feel like as a player of Genshin Impact, I need to say my piece on this. But I'm not ready to say it until the live stream where we get more news, okay? So, that's how we're gonna plan for now. Sorry for dragging this out, but if you guys enjoyed, feel to leave a like, subscribe to see more. Because just because I'm done with 2.1 content doesn't mean I'm done with Genshin content. There's still 2.2 coming up. We don't know what 2.2 is gonna give us, but you should know that I'm gonna cover it. So other than that, I'll see you guys then. ACairconditioner signing out. Y'all have a fantastic day.